Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Kevin.
Hey,
Kevin,
isn't it
it's
my
been a bit.
excited? Hey, it's been a
Yeah.
while,
How you been lately? I know you're like crazy busy lately.
dude. I've been crazy busy, but anytime I get to watch anything TV or play video games, man, I'm loving what's going on right now. It's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the
It's
between Star Trek and Star Wars, and those are my bread and butter, and my pro wrestling that's going crazy right now. Everything's
especially
good.
today.
Oh
Today's
yeah,
wrestling great
it's the
day.
wrestling weekend. Yeah, it's for the company I don't watch, but it's it's the
uh,
biggest wrestling weekend of the year for sure.
WrestleMania, I don't watch wrestling, but that's something you kind of catch up on. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. Personally, I still kind of keep an eye on it
Yeah, I
just because
still
it's
do too, for sure.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna start off with our question this time. Is who is your favorite sci-fi author? Do you have anybody in particular you think of?
I only have one because I don't read very many books. The books that I have read are Star Wars. And
Okay.
the Star Wars books that I've liked the most have all been from Timothy Zahn, who's the
Yeah, I
creator
bet
of
they
the
have been.
yeah, the creator of the Thrawn trilogy. But it's not just because of Thrawn, it's because of the characters that he created in all those books and in the
Mhm.
comics that were based on those books. Mara Jade Skywalker, one of my favorite characters. She was the hand of the Emperor before becoming Luke Skywalker's wife in the books, in the
That's so cool.
non-canon books now,
Right.
and they had kids and everything together, and it's just he created a much more coherent what I thought was going to be episode 7, 8, and 9 of Star Wars than what Disney ended up making. So
Come
yeah,
on,
Timothy's
Disney was
on for
right there.
sure.
Yeah, I just ordered that trilogy actually. I it's taking a while to get here because I made sure to order like used versions so that I'm supporting yada yada yada.
Nice.
But they're on their way. But I do have like the first of the new trilogy. Have you read any of those?
I have read the first book and a half of the new
Okay.
books.
How
Yeah,
how are those
they're
in
good.
comparison?
The first one was really good. I enjoyed the first one a
Okay.
lot. The second one, not as much. Like they're more about the character of Thrawn rather than big Star Wars stories like
Yeah.
the Thrawn trilogy is.
I can't wait to dig into that old school trilogy, even though it's not canon anymore. It's like the first time they brought up cloning and different things like that. So it's gonna be
It's
pretty
sick,
cool.
man. It's there's also two other books that take the Thrawn duology that takes place, I think, after that, and then there's books that take place in between that were written even after that that are all non-canon, but they're all good books.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm looking forward to diving into those. It's all because of Rebels, and we're gonna be talking about that later on. Uh, for me, my two favorite sci-fi authors. One is Kurt Vonnegut, which I think everybody knows. Kurt Vonnegut. He wrote like some of the golden age '60s sci-fi, and some real mind-bending stuff. Unstuck in Time. That whole process is just, or the whole idea is amazing. The other one I want to make sure shout out is Christy Golden. She writes a lot of fantasy stuff, but she started out writing the books for Voyager post the show.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, she kind of filled in that lore that we had questions for, like, hey, what happened to Seven of Nine? She answers all those questions. She specifically wrote a complete story for Janeway, like how she decided to go to Starfleet and stuff like that. So really cool. That's Christy Golden. She's now writing basically all the World of Warcraft books and has even been tapped as one of the writers for the game itself. So clearly, I'm a fan of hers, and she's really nice on Twitter, guys. If you guys at her, she'll respond. She's super cool, and just the way she describes things, it's kind of like it's like light George R. R. Martin, where it's like, oh my god, I feel like I'm actually there and feeling the blades of grass and the texture of this metal on this wall. It's super cool. So she's really good at that. I want to shout out to Grim Tales from Rainbow Falls, who says Harlan Ellison. Says that their antics were legendary and stuff like that. So Harlan Ellison, which I know I've heard the name, I just haven't read anything from Harlan. All right, we're gonna be. Today's episode is brought to you by Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Here we go. Get ready to immerse yourself in a galaxy far, far away with this highly anticipated sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. With the official release date set for April 28th, 2023, you can now pre-order your copy for the game in one of the three amazing editions. Choose between Standard, Deluxe, or Collector's Edition and experience the thrills of being Cal Kestis, with each edition offering unique cosmetic accessories. No matter what edition you pick, there are unforgettable adventures and no matter what edition you choose, you're in for an unforgettable adventure as you explore the Star Wars universe with Cal Kestis. And with no microtransactions, you can enjoy the game without any additional cost. Pre-order your copy of Jedi Survivor today, and you're ready to join the fight against the Empire. We're gonna have links in the description, guys. Go ahead and pre-order that. We are also playing that game on stream day it releases because I cannot freaking wait.
Bro, Respawn killing it, showing that
Oh,
single player Star Wars games are good and can be good and should be continued to be made. I love it. I can't wait for
uh,
this game.
freaking great. And Kotaku, I think it was Kotaku, just put out an article saying like, no, I think it was IGN even, which they don't put out stuff, competitively like this, but they were saying like live service games are exhausting and developers are sick and tired of making them. They're profitable, but they're tired of making them.
Right. That's good. I mean, yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to some stories here. We have John Wick's getting a spinoff. It's coming out early 2024, called Ballerina and starring Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas is tearing it up. She's super cool. Have you watched the recent John Wick or any John Wick?
I talked about this at work literally yesterday, that I have not seen any of the John Wick movies, but it's not because I don't want to. It's insane. Like, I actually actively want to. I just haven't. It's crazy. Yeah. So no, I have not.
They're pure eye candy, just like the way he moves. It's super cool. They're totally worth a watch, of course. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I remember this month I was like, oh man, I'm going to be busy. I've got like 4 movies at theaters. I'm going to watch every one of them at theaters. The first 2 I haven't watched yet, Shazam or John Wick. I'm just like, I don't know why, but like with all the options now, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I hear
that. I'm hoping to see Dungeons and Dragons this weekend, and then I've already bought the tickets for Mario, so that's locked in. So there we go. Scott Pilgrim anime is in the works for Netflix. This is going to use the entire original cast. I freaking love this movie. Michael Cera, I'm glad to see him back. Arrested Development's in my blood, so I just freaking love him. Did you end up watching Scott Pilgrim when you were younger?
This is going to be a theme throughout the next couple quickies, but no, I have not. Okay. Didn't play the game either. That was based on the movie, I think.
The widely successful game that was also based on a widely successful comic.
Yeah, right. I haven't read the comic either.
The game was free on Epic even.
Yeah, I missed it.
All right, so we're going to be inviting Kevin onto Challenge Accepted. He has much to do.
Yes.
So we're doing that. Demon Slayer, for you Demon Slayer fans out there, I am a new one. They're going to be simulcasting season 3 premiere that's coming April 9th. I'm sorry. What's really cool about this, and something that I'm kind of new to as just like a glancing fan of anime and a brand new fan of manga, is this is a thing where Crunchyroll will air it at the exact same time as they do in Japan. So you could actually watch it because I remember there's so many things as a slight anime fan where you're like, oh, wait till you get to this or this season or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like I'm so left behind, which as an American, we're oftentimes the one premiering things first. I get that. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. Demon Slayer is really awesome. I've just been reading it. I haven't watched it yet. It's super cool. Ryan Coogler is bringing back X-Files for revival. Sounds like it'll be the original cast plus a new cast. Have you watched X-Files? I'm assuming that one.
Yes. Okay. Yes, okay. I have seen a lot.
I think it's the same night as wrestling back in the day, so I think it was a pretty safe one.
I don't remember much of the movie or movies. I think there were a couple different movies, like one more recent and then one that was like right after the show ended.
Yeah.
But I definitely remember the show for sure.
Yeah, it kind of was like our generation's version of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And some of the weirdest. I remember one of my favorite episodes was this girl who didn't realize she controls the weather. And so it was based on her emotions. And then they're like, you ever notice how you're always sad when it's raining? She's like, yeah, that's everybody's like, no, not quite. It was super well done. So Ryan Coogler's voice, too, the way he's really good with representation, I think that show could use. Because I couldn't tell you if there was anybody of color on that show. So yeah. Ryan Coogler's going to add some diversity to a show that needs it. That's going to be awesome. All right, state of Star Wars. That's what we're talking about right now. We're at a point now, there's a lot of discussion going on with both the end of Bad Batch Season 2. I'll do a short review for that, kind of no spoilers. But also, The Mandalorian's halfway through, and we kind of see where it's going now. Currently with Star Wars stories, where do you think Mandalorian's headed?
I'm going to refer back to... I'm one episode behind on The Mandalorian. Just going to throw that out there. So whatever happened in this last week, I don't know. We started talking about The Mandalorian when the last trailer dropped. I think it was me, you, and Kyle all on an episode of Geek Freaks. And I think that I said that it was leading to Bo-Katan trying to take back Mandalore and Din Djarin being the reluctant person who ends up doing it, with Grogu speaking his first words being, "This is the way." I think that is all still kind of where the season's going. I think I'm still on track with all of that.
I am ready to lose my mind for Grogu speaking.
You're right.
It was so cool.
Heck yeah. And all the updates to the toys that can come out, new toys that can be sold when he actually starts talking. Yeah, it's going to be a moneymaker for
it's like,
sure.
I like how every time they give him one piece of armor, because like, oh god, it's a new Funko Pop was with that one piece. Every time.
Yeah. So I love that I really can't tell what Bo-Katan's character is this season. If she is actually becoming part of the way, a child of the way or whatever of the Watch, Children of the Watch. I don't know if she's like becoming that like legitimately, or if she's just making everybody think she is so that she has more backup to get the mythosaur and actually rise to power on Mandalore. Like she saw that mythosaur in the bottom of the ocean the ocean, the living waters and stuff. Yeah, it's so much lore that it's actually hard for me to keep up with because I'm getting older.
Which
but
is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really cool that there's so much lore for me, too much lore for me to keep up with. That I'm forgetting stuff or remembering stuff at random. It's exciting. I'm loving it.
Do you think Bo-Katan has proven herself as a worthy leader? Because she's made so many mistakes in the past. She's inspiring, sure, but she's made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, no, I think that's what she's trying to do. Maybe she's trying to prove to herself that she still can be a leader because she has failed several times in trying to take back Mandalorian, to be a leader, and to be the kind of leader maybe that her sister was back in the Clone Wars. Maybe not to the pacifist extent, but in general to believe in something strong enough to be able to lead people strong enough. But yeah, the character, the last thing I want to say about Bo-Katan, she is so well written, and Katie Sackhoff is such a good actor that she's nailing this part. It's fantastic.
Googling Battlestar Galactica and stuff.
Watch Battlestar Galactica.
Challenge accepted. So she is outstanding, and then she's got Satine to look up to the entire time. I think we're kind of being introduced to a brand new character through her, and it's her father, who sounds like he was much more traditional, and because he also followed this as the way mentality, and she's starting to realize that, like, look, I don't like, even her sister, I think, failed in the sense she didn't bother to representing everybody, and I think we're seeing Bo-Katan's realizing, I need to represent everybody if I'm going to be a leader, and there are definitely values in the old ways, and there's a reason that we're Mandalorians and not just another member of Coruscant or something like that. So her character is super dope, and I think that's what we are leading for in this season. Meanwhile, I think we're also developing this other story going on. We've seen with like the TIE fighters that attacked her and Din. Everything's leading to Thrawn, I think is the key here. Can Thrawn save the Star Wars movies that already came out? I kind of think like Thrawn, with his endorsement of the cloning we've seen from the books and stuff like that, that he could actually make bringing back Palpatine a good idea and a good thing.
I don't know if it's okay. I do think so. Yes. That's the short answer. The longer answer is that anything that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do will make the sequels better, because I think that's their goal. I think we talked about that too before before this season started. That's what they do, is they fix Disney's mistakes by making such good content that ties in with the existing stuff that it makes it all make sense. They make it all make sense, and Thrawn is the perfect character. He's got just enough mystique about him that really they can go any direction they want with that character. Yeah, and I'm here for it.
And then the third of I think it's the third of the newer book, I was just kind of catching like, what are these stories, and it's all about him and Darth Vader working together to return to a planet where he was with Anakin, and it's just like the idea that there is, first off, a non-human in that high in the Empire itself is impressive, but that he's on par with Darth Vader, and they both respect each other. Darth Vader doesn't respect anybody, barely Palpatine. Right. We've seen that there's been moments where he's like, "Hey, Luke, let's join up," type of thing. So I'm impressed with that idea. I think that we're gonna get like a Defender situation. I think they might actually make a series where we see Ahsoka, where we see the Ghost Crew, which, by the way, are confirmed, and stuff like that for Ahsoka. I think we're going to see them all come together and create like a maybe movie or a series that's focused on taking Thrawn out. Do you think that's possible?
I think that's what the Ahsoka TV show is going to be.
Okay.
I'm fairly confident.
Show up.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how much of that stuff is going to. I think they're going to tease it in this season of Mandalorian, if at all. Like, if it were me, I wouldn't even tease it, because they already had Ahsoka in the last season, and she ended up asking, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? And I think that's enough of a teaser for her own spin-off series. That's where I wanted that to just leave until her show was airing. But Yeah, I think that's going to be the entire premise of Ahsoka, the TV show.
Yeah, and then just to kind of push on that a little bit more, I know you haven't seen the latest episode. Everybody's seen it. We do have Zeb from Rebels on Mandalorian now. I think he looked great. I was very happy to see him, original voice actor and everything.
Oh, nice.
So that's super cool. Yeah, it's in the credits too. Had to check. We also have confirmation that we have Vanessa Marshall that's going to be on Ahsoka. Not necessarily as Hora or whatever. I can't remember her name, but not necessarily as that. But we do know that she's part of the show, and we have confirmation that Sabine herself is on the show as well, and the Ghost is also there. So everything's there. Chopper, it's a whole crew, is going to be on Ahsoka. That's going to be cool. We no confirmation on Ezra yet. The second we have Ezra, we have Thrawn. We know that much.
I was going to go the other way. The second we have Thrawn, we have Ezra. Is what I was going to say.
Those Purgles work in mysterious ways. So we're going to be getting them. I binged all of Rebels and Bad Batch in 1 month. It's been a very big month of Star Wars for me.
That is a massive lore dump for you.
It is. So I'm sitting there on the couch just like my mind blown. It was like, there's so much more in Star Wars than I ever thought. It's not just Red Slave. Oh, man, the death of Maul. Oh, what a scene.
Oh, anyways. Right? Is he the chosen one? That man is so good. So good.
Ooh, goosebumps. Looking at Bad Batch, which much like Rebels and Clone Wars, the first season was like, The second season was okay. I get it now. They're leaning in on the Thrawn books, the old ones, where there's this grand cloning process. You could tell they're trying to build something together. What are they working on? Why do they? And then the other thing that they're working on too is what happens to the clones after Order 66? Do you still use them? Well, 501st does, but everybody else doesn't. And the idea that they need to be phased out or removed or modified. It's very, very good season, in my opinion. I think it's the season that starts Bad Batch in the right direction. It even fixes Omega's character to where she's tolerable. So you got to check that out.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. She's not as bad. The voice actor's still the same, but whatever. So I do suggest you guys watch Bad Batch. But the big thing there is that they're working on a cloning facility. And again, with Mandalorian, we know cloning's a big deal. I think the easy answer is Palpatine. Are they possibly cloning anything else, maybe like what we saw in the Thrawn books?
I was thinking that they're going to try to explain Snoke before they get to cloning Palpatine.
Okay.
That would be what I would... I mean, they made such a big deal of the character of Snoke in Episode 7 and then killed him off quickly in 8.
Oh, that sucked.
I kind of want some reason for that. Like the whole reason that he was in Star Wars to begin with. Give me some of that first. Like, was he a cloning mistake? That was the popular theory, is that he was a mistake in the process of trying to clone Palpatine. And I want to see that before I see the whole Palpatine thing, I think.
That's a very good point. Him and General Grievous are like almost wasted characters. And Phasma, actually. And it would be nice to use these great connectivities that we're getting now to kind of like, hey, let's get some Phasma story. Let's learn where Grievous came from. And yeah, Snoke, really a good one, because I was on board with Snoke. I didn't necessarily think he was great or anything like that, but like, hey, if this is the villain, then this is the villain. I'm on board.
Yeah, that's what I felt too.
Yeah. Then that sudden death, and I was like, there's another movie coming, right? What's going on with this?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right there. Okay, so we have Thrawn coming in, and I think he's going to be something that'll be like a resurgence of a villain so good, if done right. And it sounds like Mickelson's coming back to play him, so even better. I think he's going to be so good that we might actually have like a redemption for Star Wars in whole. I hope they just give Dave Filoni the movies. Why are we messing around with different directors?
Right.
This seems crazy to me. What are your predictions for the future of Star Wars after everything's said and done?
I honestly hope that they go in it. Whatever they do with Ahsoka and Thrawn, I hope that this kind of ties in between episodes 6 and 7, and then we just get out of the Skywalker era altogether. I think Kyle's been saying this for a while. You've probably mentioned it a couple of times. I am fully on board with, after they tell the story that they need to make 7, 8, and 9 make sense, just go to the future and let's see new stories with the new Jedi Order and new good guys versus new bad guys. I don't need anything referencing what I already know besides whatever TV shows they want to keep alive until until the TV shows die.
Or the other way with it, go 1,000 years back, because 1,000 years back is so much cool shit with Darth Revan, and we actually have the Mandalorian War with the Jedi. Like, it's everything you you could imagine would be cool. And I think I'd be on board with that too. It might be hard. Like you think you're right. We need to like settle what we got going on now before we move forward, because it might be hard for mainstream audience to understand 1,000 years back. I don't know how many times I got to explain to people like, no, this is like Game of Thrones, but it's like 300 years ago for House of Dragons.
The fact that the Mandalorian and the Bad Batch take place like 30-ish years apart, or 25, 30 years apart, and they're airing at the same time, like on the same week, that's confusing enough. Add 100, add 1,000 years to that, and it's just like, nope, I'm too old for this shirt. Like,
Bro, I was thinking, because of course I'm just like watching so much now. I was thinking, how outstanding if Respawn decided to make a Halo-esque Rex story, where like the first game takes place during the Clone Wars and ends with Order 66. Second game, Bad Batch stuff, and he's like trying to represent, because you haven't seen this part basically, but he's now trying to just basically save clones that are now discovering they regret their decision to, what they think is their decision, to like, turn on Jedis. So he's saving clones. Boom. Third game, he's this old man out there fishing in the sands, man, and you join the rebels. And in the last game, you're on Endor. It's you're actually fighting alongside Ewoks. I mean, so shit. Perfect,
dude. That'd be awesome. And that he's just spit all over my keyboard. Rex is one of those characters that I did not expect to be such a big deal in Star Wars. Like, they introduced the character of Commander Cody in I think in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, and I thought he was going to be the clone that everything was going to be based on. But they made Rex, and Rex is this badass. He was like the right hand of Anakin, and he was just always there. And then you see him in the future. I would love to see those in between moments and be able to play as him for that. That'd be great.
It's just so tailor made. In each game, you'd get like a new group of friends to play with based on the show that you're going through right now.
You're basically making Anthem, but you're making it sound good.
Yeah. There we go. Oh my God, don't bring up Anthem. Rex is dope. And then speaking of that, the entire time you could have Cody as his counterpart. The guy that decided to stay with the Empire, and how he's, because they do Bad Batch. Cody's there. So it's very interesting. I hope that they sometime take that advantage and go with it. He's such a cool character. All right, moving on to E3. 2023 got canceled. I think we could both agree that E3 lost its way for a while now, and I believe it's dead at this point. What do you think?
I think so too. E3 was the de facto show for decades. Like, it was the show. Then you had PAX, which was kind of the half of E3 where you play the games, and it's not much for the like spectacle, the grand stages of press conferences. It was just, hands-on controllers playing stuff. So PAX is that, and now Summer Game Fest is the live presentation from the big companies, the press conferences. E3 had half and half. Like, they were just caught in the middle, didn't really decide what they wanted to do, and these other two things blew up to the point where it's like, we have this, we have that. Why do we need a show that has both when we're already getting all the information anyway? I think E3 is dead. I think it's redundant.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And then again, with the pandemic, every company will learn how we could do these live streams a lot cheaper, because it costs them $150,000 to $250,000 to present at E3 for the big three. And I watched the Xbox events. We live stream them. They could do multiple a year. Nintendo does one every 2 months, and they don't have to share the stage with anybody.
Right. When
some of my favorite moments have been when Sega goes up there and announces their price to shut down Nintendo, or when PlayStation puts together an overnight video of them sharing discs, something that the Xbox couldn't do.
That was awesome, yeah.
But I do miss the thing where, like, Daniel and Squeaks would take 3 days, Jonathan too, would take 3 days off of work, and we'd sit there. It's the only time back in the day I used to go on IGN, now I go every day. But, and we'd watch the live stream from the house. We'd get pizza every single day and be bums and watch video game news. It was freaking awesome. And that's just not going to be captured again, I think, Jeff Keighley in his Summer Game Fest. What are your thoughts on this guy?
My thoughts on Jeff Keighley?
He is Summer Game Fest, so I can't detach the two myself.
To me, he's more video game awards, or the game awards, than Summer Game Fest is his second child, I guess. But Jeff Keighley he means well. He's a little over overly friendly with advertisers. I think like it's a very big advertisement, and it's a good show. All of his shows end up being good for what they are. I don't think a Game Awards show is quite necessary, but he's made it what it is, and I do watch it every year because of what he's made it. He's very big on video games, and I think he helps keep video games in the mainstream the way that they are, the way that I think they deserve to be.
I don't know what it is. He just bugs me.
It's his advertiser friendliness is what it is. It's probably, everything is a chance for him to sell something and for him to make. It's a transaction. Everything's transactional, but that's business. I mean, that's what it is.
That's exactly it. It's like E3. I think E3 could have been saved if you just let the big three come for free, and then everybody else pays to come in. Like, that's how you make money. But by the way, you lost the three anchors.
I was going to say, I do want to mention that Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming out April 28th, and there's a link in the description where you can pre-order it. I'm just saying, advertising's not always a bad thing, especially when you're passionate about what you're advertising. Which, when I saw that we were doing the Jedi Survivor sponsorship, I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome, because the game is going to be incredible, and I don't have to feel like I'm putting my name on something that I'd be ashamed to put my name behind. I think that Jeff Keighley feels the same way about almost everything that he advertises. I think that's just who he is.
That's a good way. That's a good redemption statement right there. Is that he actually feels like the things he's advertising. That's fair. The thing that bugs me the most is he's very opportunistic. And the moment that E3 was officially canceled, he put out a tweet saying like, "Game Fest, check out Game Fest," and just got dogged on in the comments. Like, bro, not the right time. I mean, at 1,000% the right time.
I agree that it is. Yeah, for sure.
But you suck. That's one of those things. It's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like I said, I'm gonna miss the thing. I think maybe we have a lot of Comic Cons we're going to. Actually, I'll go over those here in a second. But we have a lot of Comic Cons we're going to. But I think conventions in general, especially the big ones that are all about reveals, I think those are done with in general, not just E3. I think in general. Yep. Some of the conventions we're heading to, guys. We're gonna be covering all these as media, but we'll be actually have booths at some of them. We have DreamHack down in San Diego. That's coming this weekend. We have, here's everything. Sinister Creature Con, which is a new horror, not new, but it's new for us. It's a horror-themed convention. We're going to be there. We got the Lodi and Stockton Comic Cons in May and July. We got SAC Anime, which is the biggest, like, Northern California convention. We're going to be at that one. Fan Expo in late November. That's in San Francisco. That one, I think we're going to have some very big interviews for. I'm really excited for that one. And then, of course, BlizzCon, we're going to be at that one. And that'll be early November. So we're going to be at a lot of conventions. And just because we're not going to be E3's canceled, but we're also going to be live streaming all the Xbox and all those other announcements, as we always do. So come and join us for those. Sucks, but it is what it is.
I think that's my point with the E3 thing, is that we're still getting all the same information regardless of whether or not E3 happens. I think that's why it's redundant, and that's why it's not necessary. But all these other awesome conventions that are happening this year are necessary because they're all new and they're all different ththings, and they're all going to be great.
The thing with the other conventions that I think went out, and what Jeff is doing right, is you actually learn from the actual developers and creators. So, like when we go to Fan Expo, we're going to be talking to, not to name any names that we're going to be talking to, but we're going to be talking to actors and stuff like that that are actually in the shows you really like, and that's cool. When I think E3 is more about like world premiere, and we just saw trailers all day, those are also cool, but that can only go so far. Yep. All right, let's move on to Marvel. There's been a lot of changes over the last couple weeks. First off, we know that Liv Tyler is returning as Betty Ross for Captain America: New World Order. This is the 4th Captain America movie. And it sounds like, we have Thunderbolt Ross shaping up to be a Hulk sequel. They kind of can't use Hulk right now. There's been talks about them, making a deal with Universal. Liv Tyler, though, she's badass. I love her from Lord of the Rings, so that's pretty cool. What's your current... I know you're not like a super big Marvel guy, but what's your current thought process on the state of Marvel right now?
I think I'm getting burned out for sure. Like, I haven't even seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania yet. And I had tickets to it, and then I canceled almost last minute. Yeah. It's the first one that I'm not going to watch in theaters. I'm going to wait till it streams. The first one since I started watching them, I should say. It's a little too much. My life is getting a lot busier anyway with other stuff, but I am looking forward to Captain America: New World Order specifically because the Captain America movies have all been standout in my opinion, and just the idea of what the phrase New World Order means, I am very excited to see what they're gonna do. As I'm trying to not speculate about what the movie's gonna be without knowing too much about it. I'm also very excited for the possibility of them making the Hulk seem like a good movie. Like, I think if Liv Tyler's in it, they're gonna try to redeem the Hulk movie in the same way that Dave Filoni is trying to redeem Star Wars 789. I that's kind of where my mind went with
That's
it.
fair.
I'm hoping that's what happens, because the Hulk movie was not good at all.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the entire thing I was waiting for is him to say Hulk smash. And I was like, okay, I got what I wanted. I'm out.
Right.
That's pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah.
You're right, though. This could be a redemption thing. New World Order, much like with Winter Soldier and Captain America movies, are best, in my opinion, when they're spy thrillers, when they are this kind of like espionage. That's the.
This is a very political. This one seems like a very political spy thriller, which I'm very excited for.
And if you guys watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was the same exact thing, where it was a lot of that, and some social awareness and stuff like that too mixed in. It was a good mix. So I think that's what we're gonna get with this, and I'm looking forward to that as well. The fact that we have her dad's now president is going to be very interesting. Thunderbolt Ross is president in this one, and we know that's leading to the Thunderbolt movie. Next, we have Secret Invasion. We have 2 cast members. Their positions are revealed. So Olivia Colman's going to be an MI6 agent. She sounds like, from what I've been looking at, she's going to be kind of like the M from 007, as in a leader in MI6 that's been tasked with taking down this, secret invasion that's happening. And then Emilia Clarke, who Daenerys Targaryen forever, is going to be Gaia. I think that's how you say it. She's Talon's daughter, which we met in the 90s version, or Captain Marvel movie, which takes place in the 90s. Now she's grown up. And it's going to be this weird story where she thinks that, like, look, we were promised peace. We were promised a new home. And it's been 30 years. Not that we're not grateful for what we do have, but we've been living in the shadows for 30 years. And she's wanting action. It kind of reminds me of, like, maybe a refugee story, where it's like, I want answers now. What do you think about that?
I had no idea what any of Secret Invasion was going to actually feel like when watching it. Like, what I get the general gist of what the show's going to be story-wise, but not what the feel of it's going to be. I would like that that would be a very unique twist for Marvel, I think, to do a show that's based on sort of a refugee story. I think that'd be super interesting, and a very good way to be able to make the shape-shifty aliens. Damn it, I can't think of what they're called.
Skrulls.
The Skrulls. Yeah, make the Skrulls not immediately bad guys again. Like, I guess you wouldn't want to do a double turn, but
we do have Samuel Jackson try to hunt down bad Skrulls. Like, that is a part.
Right.
That's definitely a big part of it. Yeah.
But showing that there are 2 sides to every coin. Yeah,
which I think we need that in more more in all of the stuff we watch, because I feel like there is, for one way or the other, I could be rooting for one side or the other. I'm not going to necessarily, but I do feel like we tend to only get one side. And look, we all have family members that think differently than us, so we still love them. Same thing with all the Star Wars,
Yeah.
We could have everything. I think that's cool that Marvel's taking that chance. Thunderbolts is adding Sung Jin as a writer. He's known as a comedic writer, like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He did quite a few of their episodes. He's also worked on Dave and the show Beef. I've never heard of Beef, but he worked on that. It's one of his favorites. So it sounds like Thunderbolts, which is going to be a kind of Suicide Squad show, is now leaning into comedy. Does Marvel need another comedy? Look at that. Look at that face. That says no.
I'm not as adamantly against Marvel comedy as someone like Jonathan is. Or I think Squeaks that also wasn't a big fan of it.
Yeah, but Jonathan's a big proponent.
Jonathan is the one that I have heard that. Yeah, I've heard him say some very bad things about Thor Ragnarok that I disagree with, and then probably Love and Thunder as well. I think he hated that one as well. But
surprisingly likes that one more than Ragnarok. I don't understand it, guys. I'm tired of talking to him about it. It makes no sense to me.
But I wouldn't say that it necessarily needs a comedy or doesn't need a comedy. It's just if it's good comedy, if it's bad comedy, if it's cheesy, what kind of comedy is it going to be? I don't think that anything set with Thunderbolt. If Harrison Ford's going to be a part of this project, I don't think it necessarily needs to be a comedy. Like, that's not his forte.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah,
But
he
I
could
don't
be
know
the
if
straight man though, like the guy that's like, the one that they're kind of poking around fun. I don't know. It's gonna be tough because we also have Winter Soldier, who's not a comedic person really. He usually plays a straight man in conversations.
Right. But then
But
we have Val, who's Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who is a comedic genius, and
Yeah.
her character is not like inherently like ha ha funny, but the things and the way she says things are funny. So if they write the comedy in that sort of manner, and she's going to be in the show, obviously, then yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting take on. They it sounds like they're gonna be fighting a evil Superman type character. There are rumors, we'll say, that they're talking to some past Superman actors, maybe even Henry Cavill, just because he's free and it would be a really good kind of ha 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 to DC to bring him in as an evil Superman. So
yeah. That's kind of like when Dean Ambrose was done with WWE. Oh, here's AEW. They brought him on Dynamite the next week. Just ha ha ha. We signed him. We got him. He's John Moxley now. He's not Dean Ambrose. Yeah, I could see the DC Marvel doing that.
It would be I would be all on board. It'd be like a Homelander as well from The Boys. There's also some rumors that they're going to be hunting for adamantium, which is of course the stuff that's all over Wolverine's bones. So we could also be leading into some X-Men stuff there too. That rumor is by a prominent leaker, so I actually think that one is legit.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. So yeah.
Anything else from Marvel? What do any thoughts before we head out?
No. I'm good.
I'm kind of that way too right now. I'm not like overly excited about anything. I'm just kind of on for the ride, which isn't something new for me. For the last 10 years, I've cared about Marvel too much, and now I'm kind of like, I really don't care. That's whatever.
Okay. I will say this: I am more into Star Trek right now than I am Star Wars or Marvel, if that says anything, because of how good Star Trek Picard season 3 is.
No spoilers, man. I'm trying to.
I'm not spoiling anything, but it is incredible and has made me not like The Mandalorian as much as I think I would if they weren't airing at the same time.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, when it's outshining Mandalorian, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Season 2 of Picard was good.
Okay. It was
not
okay.
Great. Yeah, it was a little bit too much of like Picard's childhood, and the Star Trek episodes where they go back in time are always like, these are interesting, but I get that they're saving money.
Yeah.
It felt like that. So.
Season 3 is a love letter to the entirety of the TNG era. So if you're a fan of TNG, DS9, Voyager, this is your show. It's a follow-up to all 3 of those, and it's so good. It pays off so much. So
That's
much.
Great.
Yeah.
Question for you. Do they address the fact that the Borg are apparently part of the Federation temporarily?
No.
That pisses me off. That was such a stupid ending to Picard season 2.
So I follow Terry Matalas. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but when I was on Twitter, I followed Terry Matalas, and he was saying that they're just a rogue sect of Borg. Girardi doesn't control the entire collective. It's just that group of Borg.
Literally a sigh of relief came into me when you did that, because like that was like the Borg are one of my absolute favorite parts of Star Trek, and you just made them suck.
Right. Yeah, it'd be like if the Daleks were all of a sudden the fans of Doctor Who, of the Time Lords. God damn it, I'm not a Doctor Who
You stepped in some
person.
shit and walked around, didn't you?
Yep, I did. I'm like, back out. Retreat.
Oh, man. All right. When that finishes, I want you to come on board if you can. Come back and give us a review for the whole season. I'll try to binge it once. I'm trying to let them build up a little bit because that show to me does not do well one at a time, personally.
Yeah, so. Picard will end the same week as season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Oh, well, we'll have both to talk about then.
Yeah.
That'll be good. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with some network news. We have, again, the Sacramento Grand Prix coming April 15th. Come and hang out with us. It is, I swear, every day I'm talking to somebody new, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So cannot wait for that. The medals are coming in soon. We're going to have first, second, and third place medals. And we're giving out a gift card to GameStop for first place. We're also going to have a booth on the floor for CCS. That's on April 15th. And we're also going to have a separate room that's just ours where we're going to be playing retro games and Mario Kart and all kinds of stuff in a separate room, too. It's going to be really, really big. It's pretty cool. And we actually just found out, not only do we have the theater upstairs for the tournament, we have the big monitor downstairs, too, like we had last year. So we're going to have some of our trials on there. There's some cool stuff coming, guys. Check us out. Okay. The new newsletter is out right now. Disney Moms celebrating 1 year, so check out their new episode. They're recording it live. There will be drinks, so just keep an eye on that. And they're all using my mics, so I know the mics will sound good. That'll be great. And then for challenge accepted, we're done with Christopher Nolan month. It was extremely heavy, extremely dense month. So the idea was like we needed a palate cleanser. My suggestion, the challenge for Thomas, was reading Rainbow, and he's never really seen it much. So we're jumping in on LeVar Burton there too. That's the most opposite Christopher Nolan I could think of.
Nice. Yep.
Oh man, what are your recommendations heading out?
Okay, I have one recommendation that I am shocked to be recommending. I thought, I'm sorry to end this on Ubisoft. I thought of all of the Assassin's Creed games, the most skippable game would have been Syndicate. I was wrong. Syndicate is probably the best Assassin's Creed game that is not Black Flag. So it might be the second best Assassin's Creed game.
That's kind of how they would say that, but yeah, I like it.
Right, yeah. I had to lead it. I had to, twist it a little bit, make it, get a little intrigue to what I was saying.
More
but
than Ezio stories, huh?
I believe so. It's a culmination of all the stuff that went wrong in Unity was fixed in Syndicate, and it feels so coherent, and there's so much variety in what you do, and the controls feel great, which is weird for an Assassin's Creed game. I think maybe it's just where my mind is at right now, but it's a very easy game to just play for a little bit and drop in, drop out. And Assassin's Creed normally isn't like that for me.
Yeah.
So
Unity is because
game.
I keep playing one mission and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll play this again in 6 months.
Yeah, that game you can probably beat the entire story in like 6-7 hours and just never play the game again. Unity's not good. Syndicate it's so is a redemption.
Junky, but I'm glad that Syndicate's good. I noticed that Ubisoft, it's funny you bring this up, I noticed Ubisoft is advertising Syndicate more. If you go to the actual Uplay store and stuff like that, I'm like, why are they pushing Syndicate so hard? So maybe there's going to be a follow-up to it, or actually, sorry, not a follow-up. I bet it's because the new one that's coming out, can't remember the name because I'm bad at my job, is going to be like more in line with that gameplay, probably.
Okay, that's weird because I think that Unity and Syndicate kind of led the way to what Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla ended up becoming, and Mirage was going to go back to basics with like the first Assassin's Creed game. Okay. But I guess even Unity and Syndicate kind of have a lot of that same feeling to it. So you could be right.
I thought Syndicate was a lot like the first game. That's what threw me off. I didn't know that they was leaning towards the.
It's still big, like it's very big, but there's not as much random shit to do. Like it's not just. Unity, you open up your map and there's like literally like hundreds of map markers.
Like so much that it's overwhelming and you get frustrated. It's weird.
With Syndicate, you get maybe 30. Like the world's big, but it feels more coherent and concise.
Does it feel like the story goes from point A to point B? Because I like the newer games, but it feels like there's so much to do in the world so open that I'm just kind of like, oh, that's right. This is part of that story I was supposed to be doing.
Oh, that's the weird thing because you have two main characters, and some story missions you play as the guy, the male twin Jacob, and other ones you play as the female twin Evie, and they kind of both have one story, but they're separate ways of playing. I don't know. It does feel a little less coherent with two characters, and the fact that the side missions you can avoid them or do them at will for Charles Dickens and Charles Darwin and Karl Marx. There's side missions for all three of those characters and a couple others. Okay, maybe you're right. It is back to basics. It's back to the almost the Ezio version of Assassin's Creed. And stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's before it got all big and grandiose and insane. It's good. It's good.
Maybe that's what Ubisoft's leaning in on, and I'm for that. That's great. That and good working conditions. Those are two things they could work on. That'd be great.
Yeah.
My recommendations is, now that I finished Bad Batch, I've got to say, guys, I think you need to go back to watching Star Wars animation and give it a shot. I will do this one caveat. You could probably watch a preview on YouTube on like what happened in the first season for Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch. The second season of Rebels is stupid. It's like so freaking good. It's just unreal. I mean, the way it ends is like, I don't think any Star Wars movie could meet that. That's crazy. but yeah, I do suggest you guys revisit those. I've heard we've did a poll online through the Challenge Accepted Twitter account to see, because the viewership for Mandalorian is down right now. My argument is that I think it's just because people, much like with Picard, are waiting to binge it all at one time. They're, that way you're not paying for 2 months of Disney Plus, because who else is watching Disney Plus outside of the Mandalorian, right? I mean, if it's not a Marvel thing or a Star Wars thing, So there's that, and so we put a poll out there, and one of the questions we were asking is, because it's so connected to the animated series, is that why you're watching it less? For the most part, everybody, like most people, said no. Most people said that they're just waiting, or they're not watching it because of that. But there were people that were frustrated with The Mandalorian because it's so connected to the Clone Wars and stuff like that, which is over 90 hours of story. So it's a lot. So my suggestion to you guys is dive into one of those 3 series. I think Rebels is going to be the most important right now. And I'd say you could possibly start at the 3rd season of Rebels, but 2nd season's super, super good. So don't miss 2nd season. But yeah, check those out, guys.
That's the other reason why I think that starting over with something brand new off in the distant time, like either in the past or the future, would do wonders for Star Wars, because you don't have to watch, just like with Marvel, you have to watch so much of it to be able to catch up with the current stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I introduced my parents to The Mandalorian because I was like, this is a Western. I know you guys don't like any Star Wars or anything sci-fi or anything geek. So let's try out The Mandalorian. And they liked it, but I have to sit there and explain, like, okay, so that thing is really awesome. Let me explain why.
See, this is Cad Bane. Cad Bane is a character.
Cad Bane is the cool. And you see the dent on Boba Fett's helmet? Let me explain.
So the deleted. No, never mind.
It's blowing my dad away because he's like, so what the hell is that thing? And I'm like, okay, so this is what it is, and has an entirely dedicated webpage to it. He's blown away by the fact that everything in Star Wars has a name and an origin and everything about it. Oddly enough, Yoda's one of the few things that doesn't have a fully explained origin. Yeah. Everything else does. But yeah. And then when I'm crying watching Kelly and Beck do things, and they're like, what's going on? Why are you so excited? I'm like, this guy deserved redemption. Ahmad Best is the best. So yeah. All right, guys. That is it for us this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Next week, we're going to do one more episode prepping us for CCS. And then the following week is going to be live recording. We're also going to have interviews next week. It's going to be a big story. So come hang out with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.